Welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday. It's the Convo Couch. I am one of your co-hosts, Craig Pasta Jardula.
It's too much.
It's not the right mic then. All right, hold on. Let me go fix it.
Okie dokie.
I thought it was
What's
good.
up, everybody? Yeah, there was a lot of background noise. I don't know what that is. So, fams, let's just wait for that to be fixed. How are you guys doing? I feel every day that I wake up, there's some sort of like crazy post-apocalyptic shit happening. There's a volcano that Johnny Buttons was telling me about that if it erupts and that landmass falls, there will be a tsunami coming our way. Then NASA has said that their next mission, get this, is to send a sort of mission into an asteroid to bomb an asteroid. Didn't we see this movie? Wasn't this movie called, what was it called? The one with Bruce Willis. Anyway, okay, that was a movie. This is happening in real life. They're going to do that. I don't know. It's weird. All this shit keeps happening.
Give us 1 second. Can you hear that, Oz? Is that better? All right. There we go. That's what I was the testing before. It's my bad. I had it on the wrong setting. So anyways, Trey Wright was the first in the door. It says, hello, Jolly P, Johnny T, and Sexy Fee. Thank you so much, Trey Wright. He saw the movie Lamb the other day. Said it was freaky, crazy. Fam, I like the purple colors and everything. And by the way, that in the Canary Islands, where you're at in Florida, might be tsunami warning. And that's, I mean, it's on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. But what Johnny's talking about, it's this big rift there, like this big cliff on the water, like a giant cliff. And my mom talked about this when she took a class in geography, and they would talk about that particular volcano and that area over there in the Canary Islands. So that could be really, really dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a deep
crazy.
underwater cliff.
I had a dream last night that there was an earthquake in Florida and that we were waiting a tsunami. So that's weird. When he comes this earlier, Johnny's like, hey, you need to watch out for a tsunami. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? So, I'm psychic. So
More like psychotic. Let's get started here. Let's go.
Wow. That's rude. Okay. So rude.
You just didn't like my introduction. I can do it again if you give me another chance at it.
Your introduction was too much. Like, it was just not. It's not that kind of Monday, fam. It's not.
That's the thing. We got to wake people up and make it that kind of Monday.
I hope people are awake. It's 1:30 your time, right? One almost 2 o'clock.
Hawaii, it is like 11:30 or 10:30, I think, or maybe even later, maybe even earlier.
Anyway, fam. Anyway, so we're gonna get started here, fam.
Let's go. I'm ready.
So the New York Times, right? The New York Times, this amazing professional journalist organization that never makes any mistakes, decided that so I don't know if we've talked about this yet or not. I don't think we have, but they had to correct this false story because they had exaggerated child COVID-19 hospitalizations by 90%. By 90%. Okay. If I did that, if we did that, like if we put out anything that they deem disinformation or misinformation, we're completely censored and taken down, throw it off the internet. Your credibility is shot. But the New York Times and publications like it get to just do whatever it is they want. And they do this all the time. They make all these mistakes all the time, and they are never, ever held accountable. There is no
it's a tactic. That's why, though.
But there's not
they
even
put it out
warning.
There. Yeah, but if you put it out there, and even if it's false, and that you're not held to a standard where you'll get taken down or fined, you can just put those false stories out there, and then your lies become truth because people report it because they said, oh, I saw it in the New York Times. And that's the issue we have with a lot of what's going on nowadays. We get demonetized, we get censored, yet they get to put out their information without even having to retracting it. Or if they do retract it, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make a difference because they already got their bullshit propaganda message out.
Right, because that's the thing. They're legacy media, so they get to say whatever the hell they want. But so let's look at what the RT article said, because RT, they always get that whole, this is Russian state affiliated media, that the New York Times doesn't get, oh, this is corporate media, right? So there was this super spreader of misinformation, and the New York Times corrected the story that exaggerated that child COVID-19 hospitalizations were at a much greater amount. So they were over by 90%. By 90%, I have to say that again. So this was from reporter Purva Mandavili, who inflated the number of U.S. children hospitalized with the virus to 14 times the actual level. And she claimed in her article that was published last Tuesday that nearly 900,000 COVID-infected children had been hospitalized in the U.S. since the pandemic began. Then they admitted Thursday that the data actually shows that the correct numbers from August 2020 to October 2021 was more than 63,000. So 900,000 versus 63,000, a huge difference, right? So they also noted that contrary to her reporting, Sweden and Denmark hadn't begun offering single-dose vaccines to children. And they added that the story misstated the timing of an upcoming FDA meeting regarding the use of Pfizer BioNTech vaccines in children as young as 5 years old. And, they talk about how this is like similar to what Biden was saying, that 120 million Americans had died from COVID and 150 million had been killed by violence. And that the mainstream media, of course, has constantly, overlooked that or hyped up this information, right? And so I just wanted to point this out because I think it's important that we understand why this is an issue, because people complain about people having vaccine hesitancy, about all the stuff, but then the information that is being disseminated is extremely polarized, is extremely politicized, and it shouldn't be. And the numbers have been constantly in question. And of course, even though the CDC constantly says that the vaccines are safe and effective, people will have these kind of hesitancies, especially when the media just exaggerates their numbers, and they're not going to know what is real and what isn't. And therefore you have more people distrusting the system, right? And here's an excerpt of the New York Times article. If you scroll down, this is Christina Pushaw, and she tweeted somebody that said, correction, October 7th, 2021. This is from the article itself. An earlier version of this article incorrectly described actions taken by regulators in Sweden and Denmark. They have halted use of the Moderna vaccine in children. They have not begun offering single doses. The article also misstated the number of COVID hospitalizations in the U.S. children. In U.S. children, it is more than 63,000, not 900,000 since the beginning of the pandemic. In addition, they misstated the timing of the FDA meeting and authorization of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine for children, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. That's pretty much they had to correct that. And by the way, this is not the first time the New York Times has had to correct something like this. When you compare something like the New York Times, which is corporate media that gets all these accolades, has all these journalists that get paid so much to pretty much be propaganda, you also simultaneously have something like WikiLeaks, which has never had to retract anything, and it's just straight information. And then of course we have the Facebook whistleblower who has pretty much advocating for more censorship and protecting people from misinformation. So my tweet that I put up was, well, where is our, where are YouTube and Twitter and Facebook going to take down the New York Times for spreading misinformation about the virus? Are these people going to put some sort of disclaimer, on the Times article saying this may not be accurate, blah, 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 like they do for everybody else? And where is Frances Hogan on this issue, right? Where is she? Where is our beloved whistleblower that's attempting to censor people via the new, under the guise of we need to protect people, children, girls, and stop this divisive disinformation? Where is she on this when people like the New York Times, who never have any sort of issue with Facebook or Twitter, and they don't get censored by these platforms, where is she on this issue?
Yeah, well, I think, we have to make sure we use our air quotes when we say whistleblower, because she's anything but a whistleblower. I think that was it Franco put up fascist blower, or was it maybe Rich Medhurst, one of those guys, and just pushing censorship on the mark. I mean, if most people I think are seeing this for what it is, hopefully they are, because it's just, once again, manufacturing work sent for censorship. And when you were measuring the New York Times, they were awful at the Iraq War when it came to WMDs. They pretty much were the pro-war paper that liberals always banked behind. Like, it was like a changing moment for me. What New York Times was like, I understood then that like both sides are pro-war and both sides are for the empire. New York Times during the Iraq War was crazy. And as we are talking about all this New York stuff, and we have to point out the craziness of New York, they use stuff like this, so that Katie Hatchell can go, oh my God, the unvaccinated, it's going on. It's hitting our children. She issued a mandate for children 2 and over for mass mandates for them. 2 years old and over, not the CDC, the WHO. That was Katie Hatchell in New York, the governor herself. So you can see that she's using this propaganda and this actual misreporting of children to her advantage to push these mandates through. So it is something kind of crazy, something we have to pay attention to. And of course, once again, we understand now, I mean, a lot of us over here, especially at the Convo Couch, understand that mainstream media is nothing more than the PR firm for the fucking oligarchs and, the imperialists. And that's it. So they work hand in hand, Congress, your media, and that is why this doesn't surprise me. They'll never have to pay the price. They can put shit out there. Meanwhile, we're walking on eggshells when we do sections like this, right? We're making sure we don't say certain phrases, certain words. So it's here, ladies and gentlemen. We have full-blown fascism, and you can see the media, whose corner they're in. People should stop watching them immediately. And I can't understand. You have a lot of, leftists, boutique left that we call them, running around of actually quoting, and it was first in the election, fam. Like, when I would debate people or argue with people about elections, I'm like, where did you get that from? That's a quote right from Chris Cuomo's mouth. You know what I'm saying? We have to stop this. We have to go away with this. Same thing with this whole COVID situation. Everything is coming right from the mainstream media. Oh, I believe in science. Really? Because Don Lemon told you to? It's scary, and we need to see it for what it is. And really, to tell you the truth, I really hope there's a day that these people pay for what they've done. Really, the tops of these papers, the publishers, the people who own this paper, I hope they get to pay a price one day for what they're doing. It's disgusting.
Yeah, Sam. And that was that section. I just wanted to point that out because in comparison to how we're treated, how independent media is treated, how media that is actually, not counteracting the narrative just because they're trying to be contrarian, as some of these people say, but counteracting the narrative because it is a false narrative or it is a narrative that is incomplete. That media is completely brushed aside and just censored and mistreated, or, just brushed as like right-wing propaganda when we're obviously not on the right, and that shouldn't matter regardless. Like, but the whole point is like, it's just, there's a 2-tier system already in society, and we're trying to create more divisions in society. And it's not being led by people questioning the status quo. It is being led by people who are part of it. So, that's that.
Yeah, absolutely. In the chats, we obviously say hi to Trey. The Italian Stallion is here, fam. In happier news, yesterday was my birthday. Probably why the tsunami is coming. The Italian Stallion.
Happy birthday. Happy belated. Yesterday, I think it was the 10th or...
Are we in Libra time?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
I don't know. It's murky here for me, but I don't really know October. It's Libra, Virgo, one of those. I think
Virgo is the end of September. It might still be Virgo. Virgo and Libra is where it gets murky for me too.
I think it's Libra because my friend is coming up, and I'm pretty sure she's a Libra. Yeah.
Okay. You have a Libra friend?
Sagittarius.
I have 0 Libra friends. Sagittarius, I can't get away from. Capricorns, I can't get away from. Pisces, can't get away from them. Just, yeah. Cancers, yeah. That's what I'm cursed with. Robert Hallam says, I don't agree with everything you say, but there are many things that unite us, especially Assange. Greetings from the UK, and thank you, Robert Hallam. That's what it's all about. The things that we do agree on, we can talk, and the things we disagree, we can talk about too as well. Man, I'm finding a lot of surprises with a lot of other people, which I thought were I thought they were anti-imperialist. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I thought they were anti-imperialist. And it turns out I don't think they are as anti-imperialist I thought they were. I think they just want to pivot who we're fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, we don't have anything in the folder today, but I've been doing some studying and looking up, and I've always been paying attention to the whole Chinese-Taiwan situation. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on there. Also, we never even talked about the nuclear subs that were sold to Australia. Like Australia's now put themselves in position, and China told them, like, hey, man, if you want to step up with the big boys, be ready. You're going to be playing the big boy games now. If you want to be a nuclear power and you're going to have submarines, whole nother thing.
Right.
So the jockeying that's going on over there too as well. Like I said, it's just very surprising because a lot of people I thought that were true anti-imperialist, and once again, fam, how many times have we said that, like, we're not wearing Xi Jinping t-shirts over here. We're not going, go China and go to their system. We're not saying that they can't have issues and don't have problems. And there aren't things that we have to look at. But no matter what, we should have this anti-interventionist attitude. We don't need to be going over to the South China Sea and instigating. We don't need to be supplying Taiwan with missiles and weaponry. We need to, for once, step out. I mean, I always thought the thing that was acknowledged is that the main problem is empire and we have to fix it. Unfortunately, we're not there with a lot of people. It's not empire, it's who we're fighting. So that's something we have to pay attention to as well. And by the way, Italian Stallion says he is a Libra, LOL.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Happy birthday, Italian Stallion.
That makes sense. Alrighty, so let's move on in. We have a shorter section today.
Let's do it.
Kamala Harris, guys, this is I don't know if you've seen, because we're about to make you guys cringe and laugh at the same time. But in case you're surprised, Kamala Harris is actually viewed more unfavorably than any other VP in recent history. And it's no surprise, right? She was the, marijuana, jail people for marijuana, truancy. Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her in one of the debates. She was completely unlikable. So unlikable that she didn't manage to get any delegates. In her own state, in her own city, she is despised. So it's no wonder that her ratings are that low. Now, a lot of people are saying this is due to sexism because, that's all it is. While I do agree that at certain times women are judged more harshly than men, like Joe Biden, for instance, has a higher rating than Kamala, which is ridiculous because he's a literal warmonger. He's literally the architect of this system, right? He should have a low rating. I don't know. She was an awful prosecutor, guys. Her actions are the reason why she is rated so low. Like I said, she's not even popular with her own people. But the liberals are always trying to say, oh, it's just because she's a woman. No, that's not the only reason, guys. That's maybe a tiny increment of a reason. It's her fucking policies and the things she has done. So Kamala Harris decided to hire advisors to help her public image. This was pretty much a few weeks ago that she started doing this. And there was this article that I pulled up where I'm going to just read a little bit about it so you guys know, because that'll really lead into understanding why she's doing these ridiculous public appearances. So Lorraine Valls and Adam Frankel, who worked with Harris during the transition, joined the team that will focus on strategic communications, long-term planning, and organizational development. This is from a White House official who told Reuters that. The official added that their experience has been and will continue to be a valuable resource for our whole team. And as we map our long-term planning and fulfill the administration's ambitious policy agenda. They also talked about how the hires came after the people were anxious about, the Democrats were anxious about Kamala's first year as vice president, and how many in the party who view Harris, who ran an unsuccessful campaign for president, as a leading candidate to take the mantle from Biden in 2024, right? Because Biden's health is questionable as an understatement. And she could easily become the president. But her popularity, if you guys recall, was already bad. This article is actually being extremely kind to her. it was already bad. But if you guys remember when she actually failed to go to the border as soon as she should have, I think she waited past 100 days to go to the border. And she told people, do not come here. And Democrats were supposed to be, you know, the antithesis of the Trump administration, which was the Trump administration was the administration that was like, oh, we're going to put kids in cages, or, you know, we're going to completely just disregard any sort of humanity. And that's why a lot of progressives voted for Biden, saying, oh, well, Biden's going to do something about this. He's going to stop the mass deportations, when in actuality, Joe Biden and his administration have deported more people. And then Kamala Harris went there because she's in charge of the border. She's supposed to, you know, have some sort of leadership in this. She told people to not come here. And so the crisis worsened, right? And they had they had over 200,000 encounters in July and again in August. And it's the first time that number has been reached in 21 years. I mean, this. And then we saw what happened with Haiti, right? We've seen what's happening with Haiti and the Haitian immigrants coming in. So the administration has already been disastrous. But Kamala Harris as a figure just made it 10 times worse. So her popularity has tumbled. And according to Reuters, Vols, this public relations firm, is a PR and crisis communication expert, the guy that's working with her. And Franco also worked as a speechwriter for former President Barack Obama. So they're throwing all the like pro PR, you know, image management type of people behind her. But it's not obviously helping, because according to the RCP average, right, Real Clear Politics, you can see how low her numbers are. Like, you can see them in the red, her just disapproval rating. And as you can just show the first few ones, it just has all kinds of polls, and you can see how she does in the majority of these. I think her average is like 8-9 negative, which is higher or lower than anybody else's. So I wanted to read this as well, because this is an excerpt from the LA Times, and the LA Times wrote a favorable article. This is where they said, oh, it's because she's a woman and sexism. Well, this is what they say. What does America think of Kamala Harris? And this is, the Times is tracking the latest national polls to help gauge how voters view Vice President Kamala Harris. A California native, Harris is the first female Black and South Asian American to serve as the nation's second in command. As of October 5th, 42% of registered voters had a favorable opinion of Harris, and 51% had an unfavorable opinion, a net rating of -9 percentage points, according to the Times average. And they're going to update it as more polling data comes in. So I don't know what you think of that, fam, but that's just, you know, a snippet. Like, she's doing so terrible with public image that they had to hire like some top tier PR firm to help her. So
yeah. I mean, she's just not, you know, listen, the majority of people are not going to judge Kamala Harris by her policies, unfortunately, whatnot. You know, some of them are going to look at her history and her policies, and that's going to have a big effect of it. But, you know, they're going to look at her and say, is she genuine or not? And she just seems to be the most disingenuous politician I've ever seen in my life. That fake laugh every time she says something, you just wonder, does she say anything? Does anything come out of her mouth that is like actually true? She seems like just the most fugazi, phony human on the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? And then you factor in that a lot of people don't even think that he won the election on top of it. So it's like, now you're just going to implant this person all along. Like, you know, unfortunately, there is some form of like QAnon and racism in the back there that goes like, oh, they're doing this just to get Kamala Harris in. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that does exist out there to fluff up the numbers to make it worse than Joe Biden. But it is just, I mean, you know, as when we play this video, it's just, it hurts to watch her. Sometimes you watch Joe, you're like, you feel bad. You're like, all right, they're just putting this guy in Depends, shooting him up and putting him on stage. You know, like saying it's like, it's not even him right now. But, you know, Kamala, you know, is just another one. It's just like, holy cow. So, I mean, as we watch this right here, it's just cringe. It's cringy. It's cringy.
So we're gonna play the video, but I was laughing because Catherine Rose Fisher wrote me 3 drinks in, and I commented on her thing, and you'll see what I mean later. I said this is AOC in 15 years, and people were like, "This is AOC in 15 minutes." Like this is AOC like right now. What are you talking
getting
about?
there.
Well, she's getting there. Yeah, she's not quite as bad, but she's getting there. Let's watch this one because there's several videos.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. To think about so much that's out there that we still have to learn. Like, I love that. I love that. And so I'm very excited about the Space Council. We're going to learn so much as we increasingly, I think, are curious and interested in the potential for the discoveries and the work we can do in space. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about. But the other, you guys are going to see, you're going to literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you, it is going to be unbelievable.
You know, fam, when a kid even has to sit there and go, okay, look like you're enjoying this, look like you're interested. When a 9-year-old kid has to do that, you're in trouble over here.
She's talking to them like they're like 2-year-olds. First of all, and this is like when somebody is on Molly or shrooms, like when you're just like, oh my God, and like I don't know if she's on drugs or not, but that's what it comes across as. Because it's so disingenuous. Like you mentioned, like she's not genuine. It just seems so fake. And the worst part is she's not a great actress, because when AOC does it, she kind of convinces people. When Kamala does it, it's just so fake. It does not stick. And people are like, what are you doing?
It's like my introductions, way over the top and unnecessary. Yeah. The only thing is I do them to annoy you. She does them to really, she does them really thinking that it worked. Like, it's like let me sound convincing. Like, oh my God, fam, you're gonna be able to see the actual craters of the moon, fam, with your own eyes. Oh, God.
Now do you understand why you're so annoying? Like, because it's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's like not
why I do it.
It's not genuine. Okay, but like, guys, the fans, do you understand? Like, I just can't. Like, I can't take that. I mean, you're not Kamala, okay? You're a better actor than Kamala, but she's just terrible, fam. Now I hope people can relate, because this is kind of how pasta makes me feel at a much smaller level, of course.
Remember when Joe Biden became the nominee, we looked at each other like, well, how can they make this ticket any worse? And Kamala Harris was like, hold my beer, vice president. And we were like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, this is the worst combination of all time. Illegitimate in my mind, but that's just my opinion. Sorry, I'll shut up.
So, okay. So there's more.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, there's more.
More from Kamala.
Very nice to meet you, Zoriel. Nice to meet you, Emily. Welcome. So this is the residence of the vice president. So let's all stand up. Here we are. Oh my God. Hanging out together.
Nice to meet you. Welcome. Like,
I didn't hear that.
I was gonna take somebody seriously. Like, oh, you didn't hear it?
No.
I heard it. Oh.
Yeah. That's when she was meeting them for the first time. I remember. I saw the video. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, she's just so fake, Pasta. You nailed it on the head. She's just so fake, and nobody and they're using children, right? They're using these children to be like, look, she's talking to kids, and kids love her. So you gotta love Kamala too. Kids love her. And then this is another weird one. The last one. Make sure you can hear this one, because this is like,
okay.
It gives us a sense of the magnitude of it all. Earth is kind of small, right? The Earth is like a speck compared to the sun. We have designed, I mean, look at the design of this thing. And the people, the smart people, and the scientists and the engineers, came up with the idea that if you build something that looks like that, you can see the sun. Yeah. And you can see the moon, right? Well, wait till you guys see the moon. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about those craters on the moon. Always dream with ambition. Have big dreams. You'll remember that? Yes. All right.
Have big dreams that will inevitably be crushed by this failing system that I am a huge part of, kids. That like she's just
Wow. Yeah, and you know, it's, let me just say this much too about when it comes to the Democratic establishment, and same with the Republican establishment too as well, fam, right? It's like they gotta, you know, put her with kids and stuff. It's called controlled environment. They very rarely let them get outside of the controlled environment. In other words, reporters that would ask questions that won't be favorable to them. You know, just put them in these settings. They, you know, back in the days, they'd be like, all right, Robert Kennedy is going to go down to Arkansas and walk around with the people in the public and not know who he's going to run into. People are going to ask him questions and whatnot and stuff. I think that when Anthony Weiner was down in New York and he got caught in a restaurant and he had somebody yelling at him and they're yelling at each other, who's your rabbi? Who are you to judge and stuff? And they're like, all right, I think we got to keep the Democratic Party, the establishment, at least their consultant said, let's keep them in controlled environments. Do you remember when we asked Kamala that question, when I asked her that question? You can see she was looking at me. Her facial expression was like, holy shit, who is this person? What are they going to ask me? I'm not in a safe environment. And, you know, later on, I think that night we were going around trying to find Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi, but they keep them away from the plebs. They keep them away from independent media. You can't get to them. So that's what it's all about. It's just about, it's all theater at this point. It's controlled environments. They're not allowed in the public. So let's put it with some kids and just, you know, try to act natural with the kids. Isn't it so crazy, fam, that they built something like this that you can see the craters on the moon?
I want to see how those kids really feel, because I can't imagine, especially these younger generations that are so like, you know, quick and aware of things, like thinking that this is some sort of genuine thing, unless they're extremely innocent. Because even as a child, you can tell, like you're like, wait a minute, what's wrong with this lady? She's a little like I would have, as a child, if she came up to me and did that whole spiel, I would have been like, what is wrong with this one? I wouldn't have been able to contain my laughter, to be honest, because it's just so cringe. It's cringe. Yeah. We
really
live in a fucking cartoon. We live in a fucking skit. Like, this is,
I could see
this
Eddie
is our beat.
Like dubbing in themselves, like they're in the room, like, what are you talking about, lady? Are you crazy? You on drugs? Isn't it great that we can see that?
We live in a fucking like skit. Like, this is a joke. Like, this is our VP, probably likely soon to be president, because Donald Trump is already doing his little tours, right? Like his little tours, Trump 2024. So you have, once again, Donald Trump, the evil orange man bad, versus the liberal nobody likes, but you have to vote for them because Donald Trump. You don't want Donald Trump again. So we're playing this whole game again, and people still playing into this game. I have lost my patience. It is beyond obvious at this point that there's no, like, this is a game for them. Yeah. This is, you are a piece, and they're the people moving the pieces. So
I think now is the time to realize too, though, the people still shilling for Biden and for the Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just. I mean, how can you continue to do this? This is like an awful fucking team over here. I mean, Biden and Kamala Harris have to be the worst dynamic duo I've ever. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. How do you defend them? How do you sit up there and say this is a progressive movement at this point? And what is motivating you to do that? The fact that you're going to be based off your fears and things you dislike, that's not leaders. Leaders are going to be like, okay, we understand that needs to go, but what are we going to do? Let's motivate people to do something else. You know what I'm saying? If you're sick, if you're still voting on to stop somebody and fighting from incremental gains, you know, you're fighting for incremental losses now instead of incremental gains, you've completely lost. They've won. And that's where we're at right now. The fact that they still have a lot of people convinced, and I don't believe the majority of people that way are convinced. I believe the majority of people believe they're so full of shit, but they still have their little group convinced that this is better. This is mitigating damage, fam. That this is better than that we have to vote for Biden and Kamala Harris because we don't want Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, and really, it's beyond ridiculous at this point. You know?
Yeah, it's beyond ridiculous to even vote for either of these people for anything at this point when we don't have a fair election system either. Like it's a joke. They're you know, again, it's all theater. They choose and select who they want, and that's it. And the more important point isn't to laugh at Kamala Harris because she's cringe, because she is cringe and she is fake, but it's just to point out who is at the top, who the kind of people that are at the top of leadership. They're either idiots like Kamala Harris who are fake and just used, for identity politics and who are in no way actually qualified to be leading this country, because if anything happens to Joe Biden, she becomes the president. That's your president. That is your president. These people, they tout their degrees and some sort of, elite superiority to the point where like you said, they don't really associate with the public that they're supposed to be serving, because it was never about, celebrity and this sort of notoriety that you get as a politician. It was always about serving the public. That was your fucking job. They're not doing that. So all they've become are just actors and influencers. And, now they're trying to get the younger generations in via people like the Squad and AOC to using things like Instagram, making them be like super relatable when really these people don't relate to you at all. The people that you dislike on both sides of the aisle relate to you more than any of these politicians do. And that's what a lot of people don't want to come to terms with. They want to, just like they look at football, they look at sports, they look at, everything. They want to pick a team and they want their team to succeed. And we need to break that mentality, because otherwise we're headed down to the Squid Game. And if you haven't watched that show, fam, the reason it's so popular, it's because it's depicting where we're pretty much going in this society. So
yeah, gonna be interesting. Should I read some Super Rays right now?
Yep.
Sound good. This is from Robert Hallam. It says, as a Brit, my duty is to oppose British imperialism. That's a full-time job, and it really is. I appreciate your struggle against American imperialism. And let me tell you something, it's still one of the top tips at the top for me. It hasn't moved away, and it's sad to see where a lot of people are going. Really, to tell you the truth, it's like almost they're gearing up for this war against China. Like they're pushing it, and I'm talking about both sides. I've argued with liberals about this, about China before too as well, and I always asked them, I said, when's the last time China's had a military intervention with another country? You'll always hear some people talk about, oh, well, they're having issues with India right now. Yeah, literally they're killing them. They were having a fight in an area that is they're questioning over, right? And they were fighting with sticks and stones. Because there was a treaty, no guns or no nothing's up there. So there's one fucking area. And then I'm like, and you want to compare that of China? And the answer to that question is 1979, North Vietnam. You want to compare China is imperialism, is what you're saying, to America's imperialism? And the first second I hear, well, America's not perfect, but I'm like, but hold it right there. That comment alone, you're you know what I'm saying? You're just going to manufacture consent for the imperialist America to do what they want. When you say they're not perfect, but they're not perfect, they're the fucking problem. They are the problem, exactly. Imperialism.
The West, right? Because he said,
yes.
Robert said it's the UK. Yeah, the UK is part of it. I mean, we're here. Hello, these people came from the UK. I mean, this is like the West itself. You're right. There's this is what they do. This is what they've been doing for fucking hundreds of years. This is not. It's only gotten worse, and they're never held accountable. So it's not. I don't have a sense of patriotism to a country, an empire, because we've stopped being a country. We are an empire where we're an oligarchy. Corporations are your government. Okay. Yeah. Like the 1% are your leaders. Everybody else is just playing a role here. They're not really in charge. The state agencies are in charge. And so when you understand that, how can you have some sort of idyllic idea as to what America is? You can have love for the people of America, for certain cultural things that have, become part of the American society. But to say, I have a hard time with people. And look, if you feel that patriotism, I'm not gonna fucking, say you should just go be pushed off a bridge. But for me, it It is anti-imperialism that I am against. And if the empire that I'm currently living in is doing the most harm, I'm going to stand against that with the people, with the working class, because we're not just harming our enemies abroad. They're fucking us here too. They're not doing anything for you here too. So that's when I say that you have more in common with each other. It's not just with liberals and Republicans or the left and the right. It's you have more in common with people in fucking China. You have more in common with people all over the world, especially in areas that we deem are our enemies. And those people and you have more in common than you do with these politicians who, by the way, they hold forums like the World Economic Forum where they meet to discuss what the hell they're going to do with all of you. That's the truth. That's where we're at right now.
And the system is completely false. We have no friends in Washington whatsoever. None. Zero. The system is completely bought. They're just nothing but propaganda. They use the mainstream media. It's all these rich elitist motherfuckers, this predator class that's controlling everything. I mean, there's some pushbacks, but a lot of the pushback too, as well, is like theater as well, to make it look like they're fighting back. You know what I'm saying? But we're witnessing WWE wrestling for our government right before our very own eyes, and it's a shame. And the Haiti situation at the border. Wow. Everybody's talking about what's happening at the border. They were whipping them. They don't want to whip them. Biden was sitting there cringing. I'm going to make sure those people paid who whipped them and stuff. Nobody talked about the actual cause of what's destabilizing Haiti, because you want to talk about a country that we fucked with so long, for so many times, how we removed dictators, not dictators, we removed their government. Did you see the last president that was removed, right? How he was whacked. It definitely was a hit from the West. Somebody encouraged somebody or paid somebody off in Latin America to go do that. For some reason, we've removed other leaders they've had. We had the Marines kidnap one of their leaders and stuff. So, if the squad was for real, they would have talked about the real issues about what was going on and why those Haitians showed up at our border. But nobody took the time to do that. Nobody did whatsoever. And I'm convinced now, too, as well, that a lot of those conservatives, like when I did have that debate with Eagle Ed Martin, and we talked about, listen, well, why are there so many migrants coming here? Is it in our foreign policy? And he was kind of like, well, I never really thought about that. I'm like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I think you guys know now. Now you're bullshitting me. Now you're bullshitting me, because you know damn well that our imperialism leads to migration. We destabilize a country so we can put our corporate interest in there, resource extract the country, put our monetary system there, send it into chaos. To do that, we got to put up some of the most thuggish leaders. We're the ones who support dictators, the United States, as long as we get our dollar, right? And then therefore they migrate here. I'm starting to believe now that I'm getting duped as well, because I'm saying the whole conservative movement too, with a lot of patriots or Trumpers, whatnot, is like, oh, well, we don't want these wars either. We want these endless wars to end. But China, we got to keep an eye on them. It's like, no, you're not anti-imperialist. You're not completely anti-censorship either. You want the other people to be censored. You want China and Iran to be censored. Not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%.
Yourselves. Yeah. Jeffrey Stevenson says, fam, I've never had liver problems now. Now, since I've been double vaccinated, my liver is failing. This is not safe and effective. This is not informed consent.
This is a comment being read right now. According to the CDC, the vaccines are safe and effective. Jeffrey, I am sorry that it's happening to you. And a lot of people are speaking out about the injuries. But according to the CDC, these vaccines are safe and effective. So, you know what? You should probably report that to VAERS, because a lot of these things don't get reported. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that story.
Yeah. And also, too, as well, Jeffrey, just stay with us for the fourth section, and we'll get a little bit more into that when we're on Rokfin only. Carrie Mark, thank you so much. Harris here reminds me of the HRC maniac face at the primary. Carrie, it's true. Yeah. The young fucks fam. Let me talk about the young fuck. It's pretty obvious she does not like being around kids. It's so fake.
Yeah. Well, she puts her parents in jail, so.
Trey Wright says molding cheese can act better than Harris. Trey, that's great. Margaret, thank you so much. Love you. Love your delivery with a sense of humor. Makes it easier to tolerate the establishment cartoon life. Hashtag no mandates. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret.
Italian Stallion, thank you again. They don't care. In my minds, Biden and Harris are trying to fix things no matter what you tell them. They even argue fracking is needed to make the switch to other fuels. I know, right? I completely understand how evil leaders rose to power. I used to be baffled by it. No more. I also get how nations fell. Eventually, the invaders sounded like a better deal.
Yeah.
Please come and invade us. Save us. We're getting fucked over here. Unbeliever. They give us a super rate contribution. Unbeliever is always appreciated on the couch with the Kamala Harris face. Ha ha ha. Okay, Italian Stallion. I was going to say that. Harris in that video came off as a WWE face, good wrestler, promo to get the people to cheer for her. That's all it is, Italian Stallion. It's WWE wrestling. Remember when Cynthia McKinney told us like they were having a hearing on something and the person was just yelling at the other person in the committee, and then at the end they walked out arm in arm like they're friends. It is all theater, and that's what we got going on right now. I mean, that's why I say it doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't. And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say this whole talk about like public banking now, right, fam? Like now it's coming into play and stuff. But we're going to let the same people from the state run the public bank. I mean, they fucking failed on every single level whatsoever. And they're going to be still attached to the Fed. It's like, hello. I mean, how we have to remove corruption first before we do anything. We have to cleanse our Congress on a state level, on a national level. We need to get rid of these assholes in charge and implement the system where we, the people, are calling the shots. And until we do that, it doesn't make a difference what you're getting in policy. It will all finally fail. Sorry, fam.
All right, fam. So let's move on to the next section. And this is, again, guys, the type of section where we're going to probably rant a little bit more once we're on Rokfin only, but I wanted to make this available to our YouTube fans. By the way, just reminding Jonny, make sure we put the disclaimer there because a friend of ours told us that if we put a certain disclaimer, we should be okay. Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles will be excluding a majority of minorities through these mandates. That is a fact. You can see in that I'm going to show you guys in these numbers. So there was this tweet by Sarah Beth, and she said in less than a month, 46% of Black people and 37% of Latino people will be effectively banned from society here in Los Angeles, thanks to Eric Garcetti and Gavin Newsom. Where are all the anti-racists and why are they silent about this? So, and then she has a hashtag about how the left is losing me. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute and how I feel about that. So this is the LA County COVID-19 vaccine dashboard. You can go on the website. We're going to show you the source in a minute, but I wanted to show you guys the chart, and you can see right here, 12 and up plus with one dose, population 12 and up plus population vaccinated. So it shows you the numbers and then it shows you the percentages, and you can see that the people who are vaccinated. So if you do the math, right, then you can take the people who are not vaccinated, and you can see that more Black people remain unvaccinated than pretty much everybody else. And then it's Latino people. What a coincidence, right? That these people are the ones who are vaccine hesitant. And a lot of the left, like the actual left, like the socialist, communist left, which, you know, I tend to consider myself a part of that, which is why this is so frustrating to me and heartbreaking to me. They say, well, minorities want the vaccine. They just don't have time to get off work to do it. No, that's not it. Because now it's effective. I mean, free. Obviously, we're all paying for it through our taxes, but it's free, right? It's free. And then they're giving people time off to go get it. This isn't because they don't have access to it. This is because they don't want it. And we've talked about this many times, that this is, of course, related to the fact that the Tuskegee experiment was done on Black Americans. You can go back to see what the Nazi Germany did to a lot of people who were minorities or who were of Jewish descent or who were deemed just inferior, right? This is nothing new. The populations that have been experimented on have continuously been hesitant towards government, towards organizations, towards all of this. So it's no surprise. Now, those populations primarily make up the working class. These are the people that don't have the luxury of working from home often. These are the people that work in the restaurant industry and retail. You know, they do like the hard janitorial labor. That working class, obviously, it includes white people as well. And so then you have all of that together. So if you look at it from an economic perspective, not at all a medical perspective, but an economic perspective, this is directly attacking the working class. These mandates are putting people out of work who are working class, who don't have a lot of money or who are on unemployment and are trying to get back onto work. That is a direct attack on the working class. And then all these people, all these liberals who say, well, I am, you know, anti-fascist, I'm pro Black Lives Matter. That is until you don't do what we want you to do. And that's as far as I'm going to go saying that. But I wanted to show you guys the source, because if you go to http publichealth.lacounty.gov, and then you scroll down, you're going to find the vaccine dashboard, and then you can view it from an Excel perspective, a PDF perspective, however perspective you want, and you can view it that way. And so Oz has the figure there, you guys. That's what it would look like. And so then you can get that same data that I put up in that same exact way. So I don't know what you think of that, Pasta, or what you wanted to say regarding that.
No, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, obviously, too, as well. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I had this video. I couldn't pull it out of Telegram. And it was a little short 3-minute video. And it was a young gentleman talking about what they did in Tuskegee and why they have such hesitancy. And have done this before. And just kind of just transitioning to what you're talking about right now. You know, and Niko talks about it. You know, you have a right to be suspicious. You have a right to be hesitant. When the CDC infected you with diseases, I think it was syphilis, right? And then told you they were treating you, but yet they were just using you as a lab rat. Why would you ever believe them ever again? Especially all the people who are calling the shots. And it is kind of scary, fam. We talk about this all the time. The people we've had arguments with, right? Our old comrades that used to be in the streets with us. And we talk about, okay, well, who was our number one enemy in 2015, 2016? It was the big pharma. It was the big pharma lobbyists. Well, these are the people calling the shots right now and working along with government to try to force people to do something to their body, you know, to take away their own bodily autonomy. It's just mind-blowing. Yeah. And the fact that, like, I mean, it's racist. It's cryptic racism here. So I don't want to get too far into it. I want to save it for the fourth part. But yeah, fam, this is, I mean, we keep talking about this all the time. So
before I go on to, and I agree with you, Pasta, but before I go on to the California Governor Newsom, I'm going to say, you know, according to the CDC, these vaccines are safe and effective. And that's, we're going to discuss more things on Rokfin only, but that's what they say. And I also want to discuss her hashtag, how the left is losing me, because I talk about this all the time to people, right? From my perspective, I believe we're in a dangerous situation right now because I believe that I'm a leftist, right? I don't like, and I think we need to move past, at this very point in time, we need to move past any sort of labeling, and we need to unite and like fight the real fascism. But we obviously have ideological differences from somebody, say, on the right that is anti-mandate, right? And so when I say that, that's why I say it, because I'm trying to explain to you where this is coming from. But when this person writes how the left is losing me, and this is, I think it was a Black person that posted that, we're seeing a lot of that. We saw Trump have an increase in minorities, Latinos and Black Americans both. We're seeing a lot of people, you know, with the, what was it, like the, what was that movement? It was the leave movement. I forget what it was, but it was like the movement where they left, right? And went into the
you're talking about walk away. They had their walk away movement.
That one.
Yeah.
So the walk away movement. And so we've seen a lot of that already. With this whole thing, right? You're seeing a lot of the right kind of like take advantage or and like be like, oh, hey, look, these liberals are wanting to like mandate you and stuff. And not all of them, as Pasta mentioned, are anti-imperialists. You will find some people who are anti-war on the libertarian, more, you know, a kind of right or populist right, whatever you want to call it. But like a lot of them aren't. They're like anti this war and like anti this, but they're anti-China. and they're all this stuff. So when you see the right embracing the working class, whereas the liberals are completely just dissing them, that creates a movement of people towards the right, a growing of sorts of that movement, of that side. And my issue with that is there is no counteraction to it on the left, because the majority of the left is like pro mandate, and they have no problem. They're cheering for more censorship. They're like, and so it leaves people like myself and Pasta very like at odds with what's going on. We're like stuck because we're like, wait a minute, we're telling you like this is, you know, mandates are affecting the working class from like this perspective, and you know, you get smeared as a right winger, or you get smeared as somebody that is, you know, advocating for some sort of like conspiratorial thing, when really you're being consistent with your views, because like you said, the left used to be anti-big pharma. There was some anti-Monsanto movement, the Occupy movement, like all of these things. And now these people, like you said, are the ones calling the shots. So it's crazy when you're stuck in this, because I understand why people are leaving the left. I totally get it. I'm not going to change my ideology though. I'm not going to change the fact that I'm anti-war, that I believe that everybody has a human right to healthcare and housing. That's not going to change for me. But you're going to break down some people who will, and you're pushing them away. And what we're doing is we're pushing people away in areas where we don't know if that's going to be a good thing. I predict it's not, because again, and I keep referencing this, Hitler rose to power because he embraced the working class, and he took that class and he was like, look, these people are your problem. If we just get rid of them, you guys are going to rise to power. And he had policies that were, I don't want to say progressive in terms of the environment, right? Like they were like, they looked at these things, but obviously they were like Nazis. So it was this whole thing where I think like there's a danger of that in America. And if we don't do the right thing we need to do in fighting the actual people in power, we're going to fight each other. There's going to be a civil war, and it's going to be the dumbest civil war ever, because it's going to be liberals versus, you know, Republicans. It's going to be Democrats versus Republicans. It's not going to be what it should be, which is all of us against the empire. And that's really my biggest fear right now in what I'm seeing. So just going along with that, Newsom is one of the biggest hypocrites, and he's driving people who were normally liberal, people that I know that were straight up liberal, into hating the Democratic Party. Because look what he did. He said, breaking on October 1st, California will require our kids to get the COVID-19 vaccine to come to school. This will go into effect following the full FDA approval. Our schools already require vaccines for measles, mumps, and more. Why? Because vaccines work. This is about keeping our kids safe and healthy. Then on October 6th, tonight, we can take a small sigh of relief in the fight for reproductive freedom. But this fight is far from over. We must continue until every woman is guaranteed her, quote, fundamental right to make her own healthcare decisions, end quote.
He's consistent, fam. He's consistent. Leave him alone. I mean, you see that hair he's got? Consistency.
And fam, it gets worse. It gets worse because Gavin Newsom, he admitted that his own daughter, who just turned 12, is not yet vaccinated against COVID-19, despite California's mandates requiring them to get the shot. The office told the Washington Examiner that his daughter, who is subject to vaccine mandates applying to those 12 and up, will receive a shot in a few days. The LA Times reported Newsom saying Thursday that she had not gotten vaccinated because she had, quote, a series of other shots to get first. So that was his reasoning, right? And of course, Newsom has been accused of hypocrisy for himself and exempting himself and his family from COVID restrictions. This summer, he pulled his son from a summer camp after photos emerged that show the children playing basketball indoors without masks. In November of 2020, of course, he was caught dining indoors with lobbyists without masks on at an upscale restaurant, French Laundry, despite urging residents to avoid large gatherings. One of the biggest hypocrites in the world. And yet, Pasta, what did progressives do when the time to kick him out came?
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to mention that too, because, you know, once again, I don't ever believe in elections and the results they have. Like I said, there was 22 million ballots that went out. We still have a crazy system, and things are getting worse, especially here in California, as far as security and integrity, in the name of accessibility, right? For inclusivity. It's bullshit. However, we did witness a lot of progressives online, a lot of people online still playing this game. I'm fighting against fascism and to avoid the impending fascism of Larry Elder. You know what I'm saying? We don't want a white supremacist in the governor's mansion and Larry Elder. And I'm like, guys, do you guys even know who fucking Gavin Newsom is? You know, and like I said, it really seemed funny because he used this recall as to not so much make it about him, but make it about mandates, to make it about COVID, to make it about vaccines. It was one of the first things he came out and said. He goes, let's see what they said no to the recall, but what did they say yes to? They said yes to vaccines. They said yes to this. And then you see the fact that his daughter not even got vaccinated, and yet he's pushing this upon everybody else and pushing it on the children. How many times have I said this too? And, you know, obviously, it's been used before to weaponize shit. We can't do this for the children. The Facebook whistleblower, it's all about in the name of the children. But really, when it comes to masking up the kids, inoculating the kids, when they have like no chance, like 1 in a million chance to die from a COVID, like enough is enough now. Draw the fucking line. Keep the children out of this. And it's just sad because this is going to come into effect full swing coming up, right? This is like right in front of us right now. This is not like something that's in the rear view. This is right in front of us. And it is a shame that the progressives fought for this stuff. We're mitigating damage again. These are the people you want nothing to do with. They were institutional players or narcissistic people who are really thinking about themselves. How do they elevate themselves? You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. Enough is enough. We need to do away. We need to get away. And here's the thing. You don't walk away to the Republican Party. You walk away from both parties.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You walk away from both parties because both parties are two wings of the same bird.
Same bird.
Literally.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the media and international protests, like this part of this whole section, I just wanted to point out media manipulation because this is one of many I've seen. This is what Misty posted. This person said, "What do you see here? Look closely." And Misty said, "Not even the mannequins are safe. If you look closely at the CBC Edmonton News, you can see that it's a mannequin on a ventilator. It's not a real person."
Get him some juice.
So there's multiple images of that you'll find. So no wonder people are hesitant. Then you have things that aren't being covered by the media, right? Mainstream media. You see in Paris, they had a protest defending wages and public services against vaccine passports. The protest was heavily policed. So let's just play the video. So yeah, you guys can see that. It's a lot of people.
You see Paris? Be like Paris.
Yeah. And then there was a huge demonstration also in Rome against vaccine passports on October 23rd. The pass will become mandatory to access all workplaces. This affects 23 million Italian workers. 23 million Italian workers will be affected by this, which will be mandatory for all workplaces, not just government, federal, but all of them. So they had a little protest there. Yeah, fam. So in other parts of the world, people are protesting. They're also protesting here. I forgot to put Glory. Glory attended a mandate sort of thing. And in their flyer, it said, this is not a Trump protest. And they have to put that because, again, a lot of people still believe like this is just, you know, a right-wing white guy is the only vaccine hesitant, when now we're seeing a lot of Black people, a lot of people of color, a lot of people in general speak out and say, hey, this is we don't know what's going to happen. We need more time, blah, blah, blah. Like, and you see teachers and nurses, and you're seeing more and more people. But of course, mainstream media doesn't cover that. We're the only ones, you know, talking about this. Independent media is, and even out of independent media, especially the left independent media, there's literally, I can count on my hand the people covering this stuff. So it's sad, guys. It's sad. And I don't mean to chastise, you know, there's a lot of people that are popular on independent media that have a lot of followers, and they're extremely pro-mandate. They completely avoid the subject. They don't talk about it. They kind of, you know, go and say, oh, this is, you know, just get vaccinated. You know, and once again, the CDC says vaccines are safe and effective, but they have also admitted that the vaccines do not stop the spread. So, I mean, it's you know, this whole conversation, I mean, I get so angry at people who have all these accolades on the left that just are terrible on this issue, because to me, like, we're at the point where if we lose all of our civil liberties and our civil rights as a society, our ability to protest, our ability to speak, our ability to, you know, have truthful information, to be able to counteract, that is what the fourth assault was. That was supposed to be the media. It's dead. Now we have like the independent media, which is like the fifth, right? Where we're like, okay, we're trying to be what that was supposed to be, the fourth power. And it's so hard because they're pretty much tying our hands. They're trying to keep us down.
I have this little video. Remember, I asked you to translate it.
I can't see it.
Can you hear it?
No.
It's the Italian one.
Why don't you put it in the folder?
Because my Twitter's been suspended and I couldn't get to it. And I just found out. I remembered I can get it over here.
They're still suspending you?
It's still appeal. Yeah, I put it under appeal because I would refuse to take down the tweet. You know, I think they're just making me wait until I take it down because, you know, that's what they want. You know, they just
just take it down because it's already down anyway.
Yeah, I know, but you could appeal it. I was like, I'm appealing it, you know, and there's you know, Misty recommended it. I don't appeal, take it down, but take a screenshot and put it back up.
Yeah.
Like, that's that, you know, which I should have probably done, and I'm gonna probably do now. But I was waiting for the appeal process, and I kept on like, we got your appeal, and I went back to him like, well, when are you gonna let me know what's going on? So hopefully that will be soon. By the way, 538 people watching on YouTube with only 259 thumbs ups. Guys,
come on,
hit the thumbs up buttons.
What the hell? You guys like my Rick and Morty poster? You guys don't see all of it, but it's Rick and Morty.
I can see it. Guys, now's the time to get over to Rokfin. Let's put the Rokfin, you guys, it's pinned up there. Click over to it now because we're going to go over there now because we have the next section. It is awesome. It's something you don't want to miss. As you know, we had Dr. McCullough on last week. Dr. McCullough, one area he's not really big on is the PCR testing. That is Dr. Fleming. He's also a scientist. Dr. Fleming did a great fucking video with The Last American Vagabond. It was one of the most watched videos of the week. McCullough and Fleming. So we have some great shows over on Rokfin. Go over to The Last American Vagabond.
Shout out to them. Shout out to T-Lab. Shout out to Whitney Webb. Shout out to Max Blumenthal, who recently did a nice episode on the mass hypnosis that's happening under COVID. It was one of the most popular videos too of this week. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. I again, like I said, I can count on my hand the people in independent media covering COVID to this depth. And I applaud I applaud Jimmy Dore for covering ivermectin and for covering a lot of the things, like, because he's a huge platform. I applaud
Malone,
a lot of these people.
Right? Yeah.
Malone. And I obviously are fans at Slow News Day, Niko House, all these people that have been covering this. Yeah. Franco has been on it with awesome. infrastructure bill and with shadow bans refugee. And I mean, like, there's just these people, like, in one hand, I'm telling you, like, it's just a handful of people really doing these things justice, covering the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm trying to set up, I'm finally, Corey Morningstar and I have been talking back and forth. We're trying to hone in on a date. So she's going to be talking about the Green New Deal and more about that as well. She's like phenomenal on it. So there are a lot of
Jason Burt was doing good work too. Of course, just had an event. Jason T.
He's been on it from the beginning.
Yeah. Jason T. Lav, Whitney, been on this thing from the beginning. Slow News Day.
Yep.
We eventually come around, Franco, whatnot. But like the two surprising to me, and I really want to just send them some props, Max Blumenthal and Jimmy Dore with their big platforms talking about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to think about anybody else I'm missing out there. No, I think that's everybody,
kind of
right?
It's like a handful of people.
Glenn is starting to come around a little bit on it, a little bit, I guess.
On Twitter, mostly, but in his
little bit coming around.
Yeah,
and
for sure. I mean, he's talking about it like mandates wise, which I think it's the correct way to definitely start, because that's where you're, I don't care what you think about the vaccine, right? Because like we said, the agencies say that they're okay, but I don't care what you think about the vaccines. I care about the mandates for me, because that takes it to another level, and that is going to directly affect minorities and the working class. And so for me, I have a personal view that I can talk to you about on Rokfin about the vaccine, and we've done it many times. But when it comes to the mandates, I think that's something that we should all be standing against. So,
and anyway. Also too, shout out to Roar Media, Oz over there on the ones and twos, engineering and stuff. Yeah, I mean, Amber, on her show the other day, she goes down the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. You want to connect some dots, watch Amber. Shanda's also on this stuff too. Shanda has had an eye on Big Pharma for a long time. One of the things she says, like, they've been trying to kill me for 30-something odd years. I ain't gonna let them get me now. But I mean, Amber can tie a lot of stuff together. So big shout out to Roar Media too, as well, with Oz and the fams over there. They've been great when it comes to the vid too, as well. So, it takes a lot of guts. We saw this with elections. We saw two things. Number one, we saw a bunch of people on the left who were not willing to go there because it would make them look unpopular, right? Number two, we also saw that they weren't educated on this situation, that they didn't look into it, And a lot of times when you see some leftists out there that make tweets out there, it's like, man, you haven't done any fucking research on this subject, or the research you've done has been surface level and mainstream media bullshit, because you don't even know what the hell you're talking about right over here. If they don't understand how they chart numbers, right? That the fact that you're not considered fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after your second shot, if you don't understand that, then you don't understand what the fuck's going on, because that can manipulate shit so crazy. But we saw this with elections. And we were like, dude, like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, you don't know how elections run. You don't know how ballots are counted. And it's the same thing over here. They didn't do their research on this shit. Great on Russiagate, some of them, but bad on election integrity and bad on fucking COVID. So not mentioning any names. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to read some super rays. This is your chance to get on over to Rokfin now. We had 530 people on YouTube. That's down to 458, but the Rokfin number shot up. So you guys are joining over there. So come on over. Let's get over 200. We want to get over there. I promise you, this is going to be an awesome, fun section. You're going to like this section. It's very, very interesting. It's one of the pieces that we didn't really get to with Dr. McCullough because he's not there. Like I said, please check out the Last American Vagabonds interview with Dr. Richard Fleming, who's also a scientist. Awesome fucking interview. It goes into deep about the PCR testing. So let's read this over here. We've already read the Young Fucks, fam. Okay, so we're at Scott Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, Thomas. Oh, you read this one. Love you guys. Fiorella, you're an absolute fox. Pasta, you're an absolute hunk. Keep breaking down the BS corporate news. Nonstop propaganda. By the way, he didn't say pasta, you're an absolute hunk. I just added that in. 3-chord grifter. I got you right on the first time. Thank you for the super rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Could you feel that through the phone, fam? If not, let me do it again. Rob McMurtry. Thank you for the super rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch.
Still better than Kamala Harris.
I know, right? Even at my worst, I'm better than Kamala Harris. Guys on YouTube.
Low bar, but.
Jeff Collings says, Fluck the USA. Yes, come on over. Guys, thank you so much. Bill Bradley, ex Bootlicker, D. Walte, D. Soul, Karen M. We love you. Always monitoring, watching us, keeping a good eye on us. Shadowban Refugee, get on over there. Kabuki Commando. By the way, Shadowban Refugee and the group did a video with Franco. I called Franco to let him know that the work he's been doing, this is great when your fam are people you go to look for information. So anytime I want to understand about, Assange or the Great Reset, we have that group. The work that Franco has been doing, putting up a lot of good stuff. He put up some more information about the reconciliation bill with a group of people who are reading it. And it's really hard. We really got to take our hats off to help these people reading these things, because it's like scratching nails on a chalkboard trying to read this stuff. It's got to be like, I'd rather put ice picks in my ears and my eyes than try to read this shit. It's so much fucking noise out there. They got to sift through all the bullshit, do a lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of time. And that's Allie. Love you, Allie. Sebs, Shadowban Refugee, and now Jack has joined the group too as well, I heard. Jack's also a crypto expert. Jack did a show with Franco on cryptocurrencies, going down the rabbit holes, giving you ins and outs. I have questions about that, but once again, giving you good information that you're not going to get everywhere. So big ups to Franco for doing some great work. That's it, guys. We need you over to Rokfin now for this last section. We're going to talk about what did I do?
Nobody under 45 knows what you're talking about.
Get on over to Rokfin, guys. Now's the time. As fam just makes fun of me.
I honestly don't know what you're doing.
What is this? What